Big Dipper is the largest coaster at Luna Park, Sydney. This is the prototype Intamin Hot Racer, which is their answer to the RMC Raptor. In this video, I will compare the Intamin single rail coaster to the version RMC has been offering for years. Single rail coasters have been around for decades. Mack originally made one back in the 1960s, but this genre gained much more notoriety and popularity when Rocky Mountain Construction unveiled their Raptor model 5 to 6 years ago. These coasters utilize a thick spine to eliminate ties. This would allow them to span larger distances in between supports, be assembled more quickly, and ultimately keep costs down. RMC envisioned these coasters for smaller parks, but even big chains like Cedar Fair and Six Flags were interested in the concept. Their prototype layout has been revered by enthusiasts for its ejector airtime, breakneck pacing, and intensity, and they're continuing to offer extended layouts as required for larger parks. Shortly after RMC opened their first Raptor, Intamin debuted the Hot Racer model. This would also be a single rail coaster, but this one would be designed with launches in mind. The first will be sold at Luna Park, Sydney. The coaster will be named Big Dipper to honor two former coasters at the park of the same name. The first was a wood coaster that opened in 1935, and honestly, this may have been the best Big Dipper of all. It had a series of camelbacks and bunny hills. But the Ghost Train dark ride caught fire in 1979. While the blaze caused minor damage to the wood coaster that could have been fixed, it caused Luna Park to close as a whole. And just 2 years later, the original Big Dipper was demolished while the park sat idle. The park reopened and operated for much of the 1980s before closing down once again. The park then had a grand reopening in 1995 with the second Big Dipper being commissioned as the headlining attraction. This would be an aero looping coaster that opened as Australia's tallest and fastest roller coaster. However, it faced extreme public opposition and noise restrictions. This led to the park and its shiny new coaster closing after just 1 year. This park and coaster would then sit idle for years, but the park and Big Dipper operated briefly for the 2000 Olympics. The park then closed again in early 2001, and Big Dipper was removed. It was purchased by Dreamworld up north, who installed it later that year, and it has operated for the past 2 decades, currently going by the name of Gold Coaster. Luna Park reopened once again in 2004, and they've been in stable condition ever since. But their only major coaster has been their classic wooden Wild Mouse. Luna Park knew they needed another big coaster, specifically a Big Dipper. They finally got it in 2021. The park made a bold $30 million upgrade to improve the park. This included 9 new rides, including 3 coasters, but the headliner will be the third and hopefully final Big Dipper. This expansion actually caused the park to close for a few months, and it's not hard to see why. Big Dipper was truly squeezed in there. The start and end were placed atop a building, then the middle section runs between a series of buildings and a cliff. But this ride adds so much energy to the park. It's exciting to see the train whip through the non-inverting loop and Sidewinder. And the bright yellow track and red supports really pop. I find it pretty ironic Intamin's first single rail coaster has an identical color scheme to RMC's first single rail coaster and Six Flags Fiesta Texas's Wonder Woman Golden Lasso coaster. But the best part about this ride's appearance is the ornate entry building. It is a giant spired building bearing the ride's name. It looks like a palace. This was retained from the prior 2 Big Dippers, and Luna Park kept it vacant awaiting their latest Big Dipper coaster. I also like how you have one of the old wood coaster cars adjacent to the entrance, and some signage giving the history of the prior ones. The queue line is pretty bland, but it is long. You have a metal bridge and some switchbacks. However, you do get a fantastic view of the ride's second half at least while you're waiting. It really gets you hyped up for your ride seeing the coaster flying overhead. Now I was nervous this ride would have a lengthy wait. Each train seats just 7 riders, all of them single file. And I heard this coaster has a tendency to run just 1 train, which was the case during my visit. Despite this, the coaster was never more than a 10-minute wait for me. I've never heard of this park getting overly slammed, but if this ride ever had a full queue, I could see it easily taking 1.5 to 2 hours. There is that much space. At the end of the queue, exactly 7 people are admitted into the station, just enough to fill the next train. Seating is on a first-come basis. I thought the forces were pretty similar across the train, but the front was noticeably smoother. The train had a rattle the further back you went. It wasn't enough to cause me any pain or a headache, but was quite noticeable. So definitely shoot for one of the front rows if you're sensitive to a bad rattle. The line moved at a steady rate thanks to relatively short cycle times and very fast dispatches. This may have been the fastest loading coaster I saw in Australia, and this was even with the ride's strict loose article policy. Like many coasters in Australia, nothing can come with you. All bags, items in your pockets, and even glasses must be stored in the cubbies on the load platform. But these bins are plentiful and close to the train. Then the employees can check the restraints in no joke, just 10 seconds. The RMC Raptors have received a lot of criticism for their restraints. You have a rigid lap bar with firm shoulder straps. A lot of people find these harnesses uncomfortable, especially with the forces those rides exert. And even if you don't find them uncomfortable, you have to admit they're not the best restraints for an airtime focused ride. The biggest advantage of the Intamin model over the RMC one is the restraints. Big Dipper has the ultra comfortable overhead lap bar Intamin has perfected and used on many of their newer coasters. This restraint has a slight amount of give to enable airtime, and it keeps your upper body free to experience all the other forces. I wish more rides had these restraints. Once dispatched, you turn out of the station and immediately hit Launch 1. I think it starts to engage before the back has even cleared the first turn. Both launches on Big Dipper are tire driven. The first is quite mild as it accelerates you to just 31 miles per hour or 50 kilometers per hour. It doesn't have much of a kick to it, but you will feel a bit of speed by the end. You then bank upwards and to the left. It is a small hill, but it gives some faint laterals. You then have an S-bend double down. I was optimistic you'd get some airtime here, but you're simply going too slow. This first section really is a warm-up. A lot of Intamin's newer launch coasters have a slow start before kicking things up a notch. Without any hesitation, Big Dipper's second half starts off with Launch 2. This boosts you to 45 miles per hour or 72 kilometers per hour. This acceleration is much stronger. You will feel the forces trying to peel you backwards. It is similar to their tire-driven launches on their newer motorbike coasters like Juvalanche or Summerland, and Wavebreaker at SeaWorld San Antonio. It actually is a better kick than your average magnetic launch. You then head into the ride's largest element, a non-inverting loop. No height has been posted, but I would estimate it to be about 7 stories tall. I was optimistic this would have some wild airtime and/or laterals. Intamin had done this element once before on Ferrari World's Flying Aces, and it had some fantastic laterals. Now, the twist on Big Dipper's non-inverting loop is fast, but it doesn't have any force to it. The view at the top is great though. After you suddenly snap upright, you get a gorgeous and surprise view of the Sydney Harbour Bridge. The forces come afterwards. The subsequent valley then hits you with good positive Gs, the strongest on the ride. These forces are then maintained through the Sidewinder. The Gs are held during the climb, which caused me to start graying out. Then after the flip, you get another blast of positives in the tight valley that follows. You then fly over a bunny hill. This is far and away the best airtime moment on the ride. The hill gives really good floater airtime. I wish the coaster had more hills like it. You then charge over an S-hill. While fast, it's too drawn out to offer any negative Gs. It feels more like a high-speed trick track section as you just keep on changing directions. The finale is a high-speed series of twists above a building. This part left me dizzy after each ride. That is how quickly you change directions. The S-hill is followed by an overbank. The valleys around it and the element itself have solid Gs. Then you rip through a corkscrew. It's speedy, but you hang upside down long enough to get some nice hang time. Then you zoom around one last turn and hit the brakes hard. You then return to the station, ending the experience. One of the best aspects about this coaster is the pacing. The second half feels far faster than its posted speed. You just carve through element to element. The biggest con with this coaster is the lack of airtime and intensity. These are two things Intamin traditionally excels at. But I think it's deliberate. It ties back to how they are marketing the Hot Racer. When you visit Intamin's website, they actually list the Hot Racer model as a family or thrill coaster. It is not in the insane category like their mega coasters. I have no doubt Intamin could make a more extreme single rail coaster, much like the RMC ones if someone asks, but they are not actively marketing the single rail coaster for this demographic at this time. The other thing I hope that can be fixed is the rattle in the back rows. Not sure if that was caused by my specific train, again only one was on the course the day I visited, or if it's a ride issue. The track work seems great, hence why the front is so smooth. The train fluidly moves element to element, but the back rows just kept on rattling. I also want to note the Big Dipper name is pretty ironic for a ride that doesn't have any large drops. Heck, the largest elements are non-inverting loops and inversions, but I respect the park for wanting to honor the rides that came before it. So what would I rate Big Dipper? I would give Intamin's first single rail coaster a 7 out of 10. This is a good coaster. I love the pacing, and honestly, this coaster is pretty dizzying because of how quickly you go from element to element and change directions. And there's a fine mix of elements too. The second launch is sweet. There are several spots of nice positive Gs, particularly in the far end of the ride, and there's one good airtime hill as well. I just wish a few of the other hills had similar airtime, but that wasn't what this coaster is shooting for. It's more of a family thrill coaster than a bona fide extreme scream machine. And it seemed to be a hit with the park's family demographic, just going in the coaster knowing what it is. I also hope this ride's long-term future is stable, but I always will be a bit nervous for this ride at this park in light of what happened to the Big Dipper that came before it. This ride is darn close to a series of apartment buildings, and I'm sure not all the residents are coaster enthusiasts. So those are my thoughts on Big Dipper at Luna Park, Sydney. What are your thoughts on this multi-launch single rail coaster? Do you like this ride? Or were you expecting a more thrilling experience? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.